We turn back now to our coverage of former Attorney General Jeff Sessions' visit to campus and the ensuing student protests. Last week, our live coverage showed protesters surrounding Lutkin Hall, where Sessions delivered an address organized by Northwestern College Republicans. Now, the different groups of protesters and the Northwestern College Republicans are reflecting on these events. NNN's politics director Olivia Olander reported live for us last week and has this follow-up.
More than 100 students came out to protest Attorney General Jeff Sessions' appearance on campus last week. A protest outside Lutkin Hall, where Sessions was speaking, coincided with another protest, a night of action which focused on Democratic voter mobilization. At times, the two groups overlapped, but students from both sides have said they were organized separately. Students interviewed that night said they showed up to oppose Sessions' presence on campus, given his values and policy history.
He's racist and sexist, and if they really want to be an inclusive campus, they can't have people who are against the very definition of inclusivity.
I support free speech, but I think that we shouldn't have people who are directly affecting the horrible things that our government is doing.
First-year Megan Gendelman said after the protest that she was specifically against Sessions being
anti-gay, anti-abortion, like directly involved with, separating families at the border, ICE.
What incensed some students was during his time as AG, Sessions announced a zero-tolerance policy for people who cross the border illegally, leading to family separations. Among other anti-LGBTQ positions, he has voted against gay marriage and said the Civil Rights Act doesn't protect transgender people from workplace discrimination. As a senator, he co-sponsored over 40 anti-abortion bills. Vice President of Northwestern College Republicans, Dominic Bayer, said he had discussions with other students who were critical of Sessions' views.
I don't know why people criticize him, and I agree there's a case to be made against his views, and we can have a discussion about that. I mean, he's really not harming anyone by speaking at Northwestern. He's putting forth a set of views.
Bayer criticized the protesters who surrounded Lutkin.
They want to shunt out conservatives from the Northwestern community.
Not all protesters said they wanted to shut down Sessions' speech.
I didn't personally feel the need to try to stop him from speaking. I just, but I did want to be a part of the opposing force of it.
During the protest, there was conflict between students and police. At least one student was pushed by an officer as they tried to enter Lutkin through a back door. A window was also broken during the demonstration. According to a university spokesperson, no arrests were made and no injuries were reported. In an email, University President Morton Shapiro told NNN that administration is still looking into whether policy violations occurred, which could make some protesters vulnerable to discipline. He didn't specify what the discipline might be. Shapiro said students are protected, quote, to demonstrate but not to disrupt. University spokesperson John Yates responded to the protest in an email to NNN. He said students who tried to get past police were, quote, physically redirected and reiterated, quote, Northwestern is firmly committed to supporting all viewpoints, vigorous debate, and free expression on campus. We repeatedly reached out to multiple protesters who were active in front of Lutkin, but they declined to comment because they feared retribution. The Voter Mobilization Night of Action organizers, students David Gergis and Aishwarya Joyce, declined on-camera interviews. They did reiterate in a statement their, quote, commitment to peaceful protest and mobilization and condemn the property damage inflicted by others, as well as the police action against students. They also reaffirmed their commitment against Sessions and Trump's agendas, which they say are, quote, rooted in white supremacist, bigoted policies. Gendelman originally wanted to attend the Night of Action, but joined in the other protests when she saw it.
It's hard to have a person on your campus that has had such a close connection to change that he could have made for the better, but he made it for the worse. It's just hard to have that on your campus and not want to go and do something about it.
On Thursday, Sessions announced his decision to run for his former Senate seat in Alabama. Olivia is joining us in studio now to discuss her reactions and NNN's coverage. Thanks for being here, Olivia.
Thanks for having me, Joey.
So what are your takeaways? You've been reporting this for a full week now. What are your reflections? What do you take away?
Well, I think one big thing is the fact that Northwestern's student body is conflicted on what ideas of free speech actually mean. We're definitely going to have to reckon with that as a campus. Beyond that, though, these events highlighted the fact that there's a whole group of students who say that they don't feel safe enough on campus when someone like Jeff Sessions comes to speak. I think a crucial part of this is having a better understanding of the struggles and fears that those students face. There's also some ongoing issues here. Northwestern says they protect protesters, but they're also saying that they're looking into whether any of these people violated university policy. If the university does decide any of these students should be disciplined for protesting, that's a story too.
Can you talk about who brought Sessions to campus? How did we get here to begin with?
Yeah, in addition to being sponsored by Northwestern College Republicans, Sessions' appearance was also promoted and supported by Young America's Foundation. They're a conservative organization that helps organize speaker events and often then covers the backlash to those events on their own website. Bayer, the vice president of College Republicans, told us that NUCR chose Sessions as the speaker before YAF got involved. He said that NUCR paid the majority of the $9,000 that was paid to Sessions for the speech, but YAF also contributed. Bayer also said that most of NUCR's budget comes from Northwestern Associated Student Government.
And there's been a hefty amount of controversy over the way student journalists covered this event. Why did NNN and Politicat make the editorial choices we did? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, so I think every publication, it seems, at Northwestern covered this in different ways. NNN made the choice not to take down our original coverage because we were covering the events as we saw them. Myself and the two reporters who went with me saw how impactful and intense these protests were. It was an important story on campus that needed to be told. The Daily has been publicly criticized for their coverage and then in the last few days criticized again for apologizing for their coverage. Given all that, I want to express on a personal level that I have a lot of respect for the student journalists on this campus. There's always room for improvement, but I think paying careful attention to how we cover these topics is ultimately a good thing.
And we'd like to reiterate everything you said. Thanks so much, Olivia.